There comes a moment in every person's life, a quiet moment when the noise fades and the crowd disappears, when you're left with just one question: am I living or just existing? I want to ask you something real, something raw. When you look at your life right now, your relationships, your dreams, your energy, your faith, your purpose, are you leading it? Or is life leading you around like a dog on a leash? You see, I know what it feels like to wake up in the morning and feel like your life isn't yours. I know what it's like to shrink yourself, to delay your dreams, to survive instead of thrive. I know that feeling, the age of untapped potential, buried under bills, pain, fear, or other people's expectations. But let me tell you something. Just because you've been following doesn't mean you can't start leading. Just because you've been down doesn't mean you're done. Let me tell you a story. When I was a kid in Miami, born in an abandoned building, adopted by a woman with no formal education, labeled Jukably mentally, the world didn't expect much from me, and I didn't expect much from myself. But that changed the day. A teacher looked me in the eye and said, "Someone else's opinion of you does not have to become your reality." That line struck something in my soul, because for the first time I realized I had a choice. I could let life push me around, or I could rise and lead it. And today I'm going to take you on a journey into the heart of what it means to lead your life, not follow fear, not wait for permission. Not settle for scraps. Lead your life. Let's go. There is a moment quiet and terrifying when you realize that you've been sitting in the audience of your own life. Watching, not living, cheering for others while silently shrinking, clapping for dreams that aren't yours, waiting for a miracle, waiting for someone to come hand you the life you always imagined. And while you're waiting, real life is happening without your permission. Let me tell you something. You are not a spectator. You are not an extra in somebody else's movie. You are the author of this story. But here's the truth that hits hard. Most people are scared to pick up the pen. They're scared to lead, scared to speak, scared to take responsibility because it means they have to let go of the excuses. It means they can't blame their parents, their past, their pain, or the people who doubted them anymore. It means they have to own the script, and let me tell you, that's terrifying. But it's also freeing, because the moment you pick up that pen, you are no longer a prisoner of what was. You become the creator of what will be. Maybe you were taught to stay in the background. Maybe you were told you weren't enough. Maybe someone looked you in the eye and said you would never become anything. And maybe, just maybe, you believed them. But you don't have to keep believing it, because it wasn't true then, and it sure as hell ain't true now. The past doesn't write your future unless you hand it the pen. I remember the day I realized I didn't need to be perfect to start. That I didn't need every step figured out. I just needed the courage to say, this is my life, and I will no longer watch it from the sidelines. I remember sitting alone with a journal, broke, afraid, and unsure of everything except one thing. That if I didn't write a new story, I would keep living the old one. See, leadership isn't about knowing everything. It's about choosing something. Choosing to believe that your life is worth the fight, that your voice matters, that your story still has unwritten chapters. And the most beautiful part, you get to decide the next scene. You get to wake up tomorrow and say, today I walk different. Today I speak like someone with a future. Today I show up for myself, not because it's easy, but because I'm worth it. That's what it means to be the author. But let me warn you, there are people in your life who have gotten used to you being in the audience. They're comfortable with you staying quiet. They liked it better when you didn't dream too loud. The moment you start picking up that pen, they'll say, "Who do you think you are?" You tell them, "I'm the one who finally remembered." You remembered that your life is not a draft for someone else to edit. You remembered that your pain may explain you, but it does not define you. You remembered that the future you desire is not somewhere out there. It starts with one decision, one word, one act of faith. Listen to me. You don't need anyone to green light your greatness. Leaders don't wait for permission. They don't wait for approval. They don't sit around waiting for life to feel safe. They get up even when they're scared. They speak even when their voice shakes. They act even when the outcome is unclear. Why? Because they know that no one else can walk their path, no one else can write their truth. You are not a side character, you are not a background voice, you are not the echo of someone else's expectations. You are the main character, the author, the one who decides how this story ends, not your past, not your failures, not your fear. The paper is blank, the ink is fresh, the time is now, so write boldly, love deeply, risk greatly, lead fiercely, because this is your life, and it's time to stop watching it. It's time to start leading it. Pen in hand, head held high, let the world see the story only you can write. Break the mirror that lies. Every morning people wake up, walk to the mirror, and prepare to face the biggest enemy of their destiny. Not the world, not the critics, not their circumstances, but themselves. And that mirror lies. That mirror tells you things that aren't true. It whispers reminders of every failure, every regret, every wrong turn, and every heartbreak. It shows you your age, your scars, your pain. And it says you're too far gone, it's too late for you. You missed your chance, and slowly you start to believe it. You start to wear the lie like a second skin, and without even realizing it, you begin to shrink. You stop dreaming, you stop trying, you stop showing up as the fighter you were born to be. But I came here to tell you something. That mirror is lying to you. It doesn't reflect the truth. It reflects the past. It reflects the wounds, but not the warrior. It reflects the brokenness, but not the breakthrough. It shows you where you've been, but it doesn't tell you a damn thing about where you're going. You see, leading your life requires something radical. It requires you to break the mirror that lies. I know that's not easy. I know some of you have been carrying those lies for years. Maybe someone told you when you were young that you wouldn't amount to anything, and they said it so many times you started to believe it. Maybe life knocked you down so hard you figured it wasn't even worth getting up again. Maybe you've been through heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, addiction, depression, loss, and when you look in the mirror, all you see is damage. But let me ask you, do you want to keep living based on a lie? Or are you ready to break the glass and see yourself the way God sees you? Because that mirror, it doesn't have the final say. God does. And He didn't create you to live in shame. He didn't create you to hide behind a reflection that doesn't honor your potential. He didn't breathe life into your lungs so you could spend your days apologizing for being alive. I don't care how many times you fell. I care that you're still here. Do you know how powerful that is? That you made it through what tried to kill you. That you're still standing after the storm. That you've been through hell and still found the strength to hope again. That's not weakness. That's evidence of strength. That's the stuff leaders are made of. When you break the mirror that lies, you create space for a new reflection, a true reflection. One that says, I am not my pain, I am not my past, I am not my failures, I am not my fear. I am still becoming that reflection doesn't live in the mirror. It lives in the window. You've got to trade that broken mirror for a window that lets in light, a window that opens toward possibility, a window that shows you what's still out there, what's still waiting, what's still possible, because the mirror shows you what was. The window shows you what can be. I know people who lived half their lives with their heads down because of shame. Good people, smart people, talented people. People who had dreams but buried them beneath the weight of low self-worth. But the moment they broke the mirror, the moment they stopped agreeing with the lies, everything changed. Because when your self-image shifts, your life follows, and it doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes, breaking that mirror is painful. It means confronting the stories you've been repeating in your mind. It means admitting you've believed things that were never true. But hear me, freedom is on the other side. Every time you refuse to speak hate over yourself, you break a piece of that mirror. Every time you say, I'm worthy, I'm still here, I'm still chosen, you pick up a hammer and shatter the lie. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you write a new truth, and that truth is this: your story isn't finished, your best days are not behind you, your purpose is still alive, you are still becoming, and if you are still breathing, God's not done with you. So break the mirror, my friend. Break it for the child inside you who stopped believing in dreams. Break it for the version of you that settled for less 'cause they didn't know they deserved more. Break it for the generations coming after you who need to see what resilience looks like. Look beyond the reflection and lead your life with the truth. You are more than enough. You are being remade. You are worthy of the life you still dare to dream of. The mirror may lie, but your future won't. Now rise and walk toward it. Decide, then move. Most people are standing at the edge of their destiny, paralyzed, not by lack of talent, not by a shortage of opportunities, but by indecision. They're waiting for a sign, waiting for the fear to leave, waiting for clarity, waiting for someone to say, it's your time. But let me tell you something. Waiting is the silent killer of purpose. You can wait your whole life and never feel ready. You can wait your whole life and never feel qualified. But what separates leaders from spectators, dreamers from doers, survivors from champions is one thing, a decision. You have to decide, then move. People think confidence comes first. It doesn't. You think I was confident when I started speaking. Absolutely not. I was scared. I was stuttering. I was insecure. I was still carrying labels that told me I was dupably mentally. I had no credentials, no college degree, no blueprint, just a decision that my voice mattered and that my pain wasn't going to be the end of my story. And when I made that decision, something shifted inside me. Not everything outside changed right away, but I changed. Because once you make a decision, the world has to catch up to you. We've been conditioned to believe that clarity comes before courage, but in the real world it's the opposite. Clarity is what shows up after you move, not before. It's in the motion. It's in the step. It's in the risk. That's when you discover who you are. That's when you uncover the next piece of the puzzle. There's a danger in thinking that one day everything will align, that the stars will line up, the fear will vanish, and suddenly your life will make sense. Let me tell you, that day is a myth. It doesn't exist. The fear might not leave. The confusion might linger, but guess what? You can still move. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need unanimous support. You don't need every detail mapped out. You just need one thing, a decision backed by faith. When you decide, truly decide, something happens. You stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop dancing with doubt. You stop asking for permission to live your life. You plant your feet. You look fear in the eye. And you say, you're coming with me. But you're not driving this bus. You see, every powerful person you admire, every leader, every change maker, every visionary, they weren't handed a roadmap. They made a choice. They said yes, even when everything in them screamed no. They moved when logic said wait. They leaped when safety said stay. And sometimes the decision itself is the victory. Let me tell you about a woman I met at one of my events. She was in her late 50s, recently divorced, had worked the same job for 30 years. She came up to me in tears and said, Les, I don't know who I am anymore. And I said, that's good. She looked at me confused. I said, because if you don't know who you are right now, that means you've got a blank page, and that means you get to decide. A year later, she sent me a letter. She started her own business, enrolled in a coaching program, started speaking at women's shelters, not because she knew all the answers, but because she made one powerful decision. I will not die with my song still inside me. It's not your background that limits you. It's not your education. It's not your environment. It's your unwillingness to decide. There is a version of you that only exists on the other side of a decision. A version of you that's not afraid to try, not afraid to fail, not afraid to be seen. You don't get to meet that version if you stay still. The decision to lead your life isn't a one-time thing. It's daily. It's moment by moment. It's the decision to show up when it would be easier to quit, to speak when it would be safer, to stay silent, to rise when life knocks you flat. So today, I want to challenge you. No, I want to invite you to stop waiting for a perfect moment. This is the moment. Not next year, not next week, not when the kids are older or the bills are paid or you feel more ready now. Decide that your life matters. Decide that your dream is worth the risk. Decide that your past will not control your future. Then move, because when you decide, truly decide and move with faith, the doors begin to open, the people begin to show up, the path begins to appear, not because it was never there, but because you were never moving and now you are. Your pain is purpose. We all carry something. Some people carry regret. Some carry guilt. Others carry grief, rejection, heartbreak, or shame. We walk around dressed for the world, smiling on the outside, but on the inside we're hiding. Hiding our stories, hiding our wounds, hiding the parts of ourselves we believe make us unworthy. But let me tell you something you may not have heard in a long time. Your pain is not your punishment. It is your preparation. That heartbreak, that loss, that betrayal that almost crushed your spirit. It wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to develop you. You were never meant to just go through pain. You were meant to grow through it. I know the world taught you to hide it, to bury it, to cover it with titles, smiles, followers, degrees, and distractions. Because if they saw the real you, the broken you, the wounded you, maybe they wouldn't love you. Maybe they'd leave. So you learn to keep your pain in the shadows. But the very thing you've been ashamed of might be the thing that sets someone else free. You see, pain is universal. Everyone bleeds somewhere. Everyone has cried in the dark. Everyone knows what it feels like to lose something or someone or even themselves. But the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is this. Some people let pain define them, and some people let pain refine them. Your pain can either be a prison or a platform, a wall that keeps you locked up or a window that helps others find hope. When I started sharing my story, being labeled jukably mentally abandoned, overlooked, I didn't know it would help anybody. I thought it was just pain, but people came up to me with tears in their eyes and said, "You told my story. You gave my pain a voice." And I realized something powerful. Our scars are not symbols of shame. They are signs of survival. They are the evidence that we went through hell and didn't come out empty. And we came out wiser. We came out stronger. We came out anointed. That's why I say to you, don't run from what hurt you. Don't bury it. Don't deny it. Mine it. Mine it for truth. Mine it for lessons. Mine it for every ounce of wisdom it was meant to give you. 'Cause every tear you cried watered a seed of compassion, a seed of strength, a seed of purpose. You want to lead your life. You want to rise into your calling. Then you've got to stop pretending you've never been wounded. You've got to get honest with your journey. Because when you start telling the truth about your struggle, that's when your story starts to heal not just you, but others too. You're not alone in your pain. And somebody needs to see you stand in the light with all your scars and say, "I've been through it too, and I made it." You may not see it now, but there's someone praying for a sign that they're going to be okay, and your story might be the sign. Your pain might be the bridge that carries them through. Don't waste your wounds. Don't throw away the very thing God wants to use. What tried to break you might be the fire that builds your legacy. I remember a woman who came to one of my events. She had been through abuse, poverty, and addiction. She never told anyone. She was ashamed, but one day she stood up and shared her truth with trembling hands and tears streaming down her face. And in that moment, something miraculous happened. Not only did she begin to heal, so did everyone in that room. Why? Because there is power in your story. There is deliverance in your honesty. There is purpose in your pain. So stop hiding. Stop shrinking. Stop running from the very thing that made you. You are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to become in the aftermath. Your pain is not the end of your story. It's the middle. It's the turning point. It's the moment where everything that once hurt you becomes everything that fuels you. And when you lead from that place, not from your perfection, but from your transformation, you don't just lead your life, you change lives. So lift your head, tell your truth, and let your pain become your platform. Because the world doesn't need another polished image. The world needs your real story. The one that says, "I've been through the fire and I came out gold." Let go of the need to be liked. One of the greatest prisons we live in is the need to be liked. We bend, we shrink, we contort ourselves into versions we barely recognize, all for the sake of fitting in, pleasing others, keeping the peace, or avoiding judgment. And in doing so, we lose ourselves. Somewhere along the line, we start asking permission to be who we are. We tiptoe through life trying not to offend, trying not to be too much, trying to be everything to everyone except ourselves. But let me tell you something that's going